I have a question.
Yes.
Stuart, sometimes I go through during the class, sometimes simply basking in the energy. Other times I feel myself really drawing in the energy. In your experience, would you recommend one or the other in your experience? Or is it okay to do both? Like I find that if I don't think about it and I just let the energy do what it's going to do, it's better rather than me getting caught up in my head. But
Well, that's the best option.
okay.
Don't think about it. Just open inside, let it come in. I mean, when you go to the gas station to put oil in, gasoline in your car, you don't think about it. You put gasoline, the car runs. And it's the same thing with yourself. You need energy, and we spend so much of our energy every day. We need to replace it. And we can't analyze it. We can't figure it out. We just have to be grateful that we have an opportunity through this meditation to sit down and draw upon energy which is infinite in the universe, the energy of God, spirit, whatever one wants to call it, creative energy. And we can allow ourselves to open and receive that energy. I mean, this is really the key to. One second. And as soon as you, please try not to move, as soon as you get into your head thinking about it, you destroy the whole experience. It goes right into your head and it becomes thought and it becomes a rational way of looking at the world. And you just take apart the essence of that spirit, of that Shakti. And by analyzing it and thinking about it, when you just have to open, stay centered below the navel, open your heart, let the energy work on you. And what more could you ask? What more could anybody ask? To me, it's an absolute extraordinary thing that every single human being alive on this planet has a chakra system. Every single human being can use the tools they're born with to develop an inner life that will enable them to draw upon energy which is infinite in the universe, energy which will sustain their life, replenish everything they spend every day, and give them 10 times more in order to live even more creatively.
So I hear you say open and receive rather than open and go get in this particular meditation.
Yeah, you can't go get this. You have to receive it unconditionally, with your heart open, with love inside you, with gratitude. You have to just receive it. And your go getting is just using the tools that you have, your mind, to open and sustain the openness of the chakra system. That's where you go get. If you do that, the energy will come. You don't have to go get it. It'll find you, you know. I
Thank you.
mean,
That was good clarification for me. Thank you. Yeah.
welcome, Jenny. Great question. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
I'm not sure how to ask it, but um, for 2 days ago, I was with my father, and today I was at the store and I bought something from a man, and I had the feeling that both my father and this salesman, someone close to me and someone I just met, it felt like they were hungry for my attention. Like I focused not to be drawn into them and stay centered in myself, but I felt like they were dragging, kind of dragging in my energetic feeling of being, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what
So
you
I
mean.
wonder if that's perhaps people that are not so centered and
Those
therefore
are,
like
they're not
taking
centered. Look,
centeredness in other
everybody,
people, you know?
let
And
me,
how can I be open to them, but in the same time not being dragged by
if
other people?
I
It's
can
not
answer,
that I am
let me
attached to
answer the
others,
question,
but
Laura. I
yeah.
can tell you very easily, okay? Look, I mean, everybody lives off of energy. Every human being needs energy. Most people, like you just described, your father and this other person, they have no training in how to get the energy from spirit, how to get
Mm,
it from a higher place. So they live off of other people's energy. Now, you can't reject your father. I don't know about this other person, but your father is your father, you know? So he's telling you that you need to get stronger in yourself. So you have so much abundance of energy and Shakti inside you that his nibbling away at it is not going to affect you deeply. So your father is like a teacher for you, teaching you that you need to grow. And if you listen to it that way, you'll sit down, do your inner work, you'll ask to open in the kind of depth that will give you the energy that will enable you to nurture your father. So you can't blame your father. Again, we can't walk away from our parents. We can't walk away from our children. We can walk away from just about everybody else who, you know, like people like vampires, they eat off of everybody's energy. But at the same time, people remind us that we need to get stronger. We need to grow. We need to get more of spirit, energy, Shakti in our system so that we can deal with all of these people and their kind of, you know, vampirish tendencies of eating everybody's energy. If you have that kind of inner strength, nobody can suck your energy dry. Nobody. And there's also a great word, I don't know if it's in Norwegian, but in the English language, it's no. No.
Still something inside me when I feel that people are like eating my energy and doing this vampire thingy. I've tried to like drag light from spirit, from source in both me and the other person, but I get so exhausted. Like I know I can do it, but I'm not strong enough to do it yet.
Yet, boy, Laura, you've come and gone from this class any number of times. You're back here again. This is what is being done here to give you the strength and the energy to be able to deal with anything you have to deal with in your life. You need to build a system inside that is strong enough to do it. And that's what goes on in these classes. The ultimate test is your connection with God, higher energy. That's the most difficult one of all. It's intangible, it's beyond our understanding, it's total. And we need to have a system inside that can embrace it. And that's what these classes are for, to teach us two things: how to live in the earth, on the earth, work out our karma by learning to open and embrace whatever life is teaching us. At the same exact time, how to open to higher energy in the universe. Those two things work together. They're not separate from each other. And this class is all about learning how to do this. And, you know, look, I can only tell you what I went through when I was young. It was a struggle. And I ultimately realized, as I've said 1,000 times, what I was struggling against was getting past myself, getting
Mm,
strong enough to be able to not be intimidated by somebody else's craziness,
mm,
somebody else's just for another word, vampirish nature, I mean, and there was so much energy that I can feed them. And it never, ever consumes the very source of my connection with higher energy in the universe. Now, any relationship we have with anybody, whether it's, marital or, relationship with somebody or parents or children or friends, it's a relationship of giving and taking energy. And we have to have the internal strength to be able to deal with many, many different kinds of people that live on this planet, Every one of them is our teacher. Every one of them is telling us, hey, you got to get stronger. You got to open more. You got to go deeper. You have to change. It's not their fault. If we change inside, then we can deal with any situation that comes along. So we don't spend our lives blaming the world for the difficulties we have with the world. We take full responsibility and say, okay, I am going to change. I'm going to grow inside. I'm not going to sit around complaining that everybody else is crazy and I have to deal with all their craziness. I'll get strong enough to where that craziness doesn't affect ever my spiritual life, my inner life, my connection with spirit, my ability to love. And I think this is an incredible way of looking at the world, because you don't sit around blaming the world for all the problems. I got to get stronger. I have to grow. It's teaching me this. And boy, it is an amazing teacher, because there's so much crap that goes on in this world that the education is like the greatest university in the world, life itself.
Thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
made a lot of sense, and I actually said no inside myself, and I could notice the man in the story immediately stopped dragging my attention. He just went the other way.
Okay.
So
Good for you.
yeah, I believe what you're saying. It makes so much sense. Thank you.
It save you a lot of trouble in your life too.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I learned how to do this years ago, and man, I'm telling you, it totally changed the way I live in the world. Totally.
I have another question actually. I
Yes.
wonder if we're getting strong enough in our chakra system that we are able to give Shakti to people that like need it.
Yes, but when
Maybe those.
I promise you, Laura, when you're ready to do it, I'll be the first one to tell you. The one thing I would love in this world is to see people develop and do what I do. I mean, that would be real freedom for people that get strong enough in themselves, grow enough, committed enough to a spiritual life to do what I do.
That would be
I will be
fantastic.
the first to tell them, hey, yes. But that takes time. It takes a lot of work on oneself, and you got to be willing to go through a lot of stuff and transform it into a spiritual life to get that kind of inner strength. But I'll be the first one to say, hey, welcome to the club here.
Thank you.
I remember when my teacher, Rudy, made me a teacher of this work. Never forget it. And I went, I was made a teacher, believe this is a true story, at a poker game. My teacher Rudy loved to play poker. It was it was always a poker game when he had some spare time. And in the middle of the poker game, he hit me in the ribs. This was up in Big Indian at an ashram in New York. How would you like to teach today? I said, you always do this to me, Rudy. He said, just go take a shower. I went down and there was like 70 people sitting in the class waiting for Rudy. And I sat down to teach the class. And I really didn't know what I was doing. I just sat there and let the energy come and transmit and worked with people. And at the end of the class, I'll never forget, I saw him outside. He was happier than me to have somebody that he saw he can maybe pass his work on to, his life's work on to. And he said to me, he said, next year at Big Indian, I'll never forget. He said, first I'll teach, then you'll teach, and then we'll show cartoons. And I looked at him and I said, I said to myself, Stuart, you just really got to do this work in depth. Because if you don't do it in depth, you can be replaced by Bugs Bunny. And I'll never forget what a great teaching that was. One has to earn the right to be a child of God, to do this kind of depth of inner work. And I had a great teacher, and he really, he trained me, for God's sake. He trained me in how to develop the capacity to do what I do today. So the day you're ready to do that, dear, I will be the first one to say, hey, okay, welcome. It's me, you, and Bugs Bunny. Cartoons.
I hope I hear it one day.
Oh,
Because it's a
look,
natural behavior that occurs.
You commit yourself, you work, you grow. One day, it's just an organic evolution of this work. It's not only for you, it's for everybody sitting here,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, it's a little bit more difficult today because, I used to have 30, 40 people sitting in a meditation class, and today it's all done on computers, and, it is very hard to train people, but this is the way it has to be done. I think it's a miracle that there are people sitting here from 4 different continents. That to me is an extraordinary thing. At the same time, the miracle of in-person work is something altogether, of a different nature. So there are 2 things going on. One, we sustain the work, and I'm doing everything possible to pass it on to all of you. And then, I'm trying to do retreats and doing in-person classes. And, I'm trying to make it possible. I can't travel anymore and do what I used to do. I used to go and travel every month somewhere in the world. I can't do it anymore. I almost killed myself doing that. But I can open where I am. And hopefully, I know people have to come from big distances. But eventually, sometime in the future, people will find time to come and get this kind of training. Meanwhile, I'm just very grateful that I can sit down in this class with all of you and do this work. I think it's an extraordinary miracle that we can get together here and do this work. And I have nothing but gratitude to each and every one of you who come to these classes. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, do you only make teachers of those who come see you in person?
I'll make teacher when somebody's ready. Okay, that's it.
So you
And
can tell from a distance?
I can tell, yes, I can tell there are people here that really have potential to be very good teachers. I really can see it. But it takes training. It takes guts. It takes training. You have to be willing to get the training to do what you. When I was with, he said to me one day, Stuart, I'm going to move to the Middle East. Told me. He said, "Are your bags packed? I want you to come with me." Honestly, there was nothing in me that said no. I said, wherever you are in the world, Rudy, I want to be there to get what you have to teach me. Told me this. And every day I saw him, he would say, are your bags packed? Are you ready to go? I said, well, where in the Middle East? He said, I'm not sure yet, but there's a great teacher who lives in the Middle East. And I was given some insight into the fact that I have to train that teacher. And I want to go there to be able to attract that person. And I'd like you to come with me. What am I going to do? Say no? But it takes that kind of inner life that you really are willing to do whatever you have to do to get it. I mean, Rudy used to go to India 3, 4 times a year to sit with a teacher who he didn't even like. But he said, I used to say to him, why do you go there? He said, Stuart, he's the only person on the planet Earth I've ever met who can break me down. And I have to go there to get the training he is giving me. I don't have to like it. I have to go there because he can break me down. And his breaking me down is teaching me how to get to God. It's making me get past myself. And I know this from my own experience because I met this teacher and I saw what he used to do to Rudy. And I said, why? He said, he's the only one I've ever met who can do this. Force me to break myself down. And Rudy was the only one I ever met who, he took none of my bullshit and none of my ego and none of who I thought I was and and he just made me grow. Being in his presence made me grow. Listening to him talk about anything under the sun, it made me grow. Being in these classes, hopefully making you all grow. Otherwise, why would you be here? I couldn't think of any reason other than that. Does anyone else have a question they would like to? So one has to really examine themselves very deeply and grow inside to where you can take care of your life, family, jobs, economic situations, and at the same time get big enough to where you absolutely can do what you have to do to have a spiritual life.
I have one more question. That is, I can sometimes feel a bubble of heat, like a orange golden flame in my stomach. And there I feel like pumped up, and it increases when I like using breath and some sort of light, like piercing down like a white snake diving inside me.
Laura, that's all very good. It's very wonderful. What happened to you? There you are. It's very wonderful. And keep, working on yourself. That's the chi, that's the power, that's the core that I'm talking about. Keep building it, keep getting stronger. Bring it through the sexual area to the base of the spine. It will activate Kundalini.
Okay. Do you recommend double breathing?
Hmm?
Do you recommend double breathing?
Bubble
Like-
breathing?
No, double, like breathing in and holding the breath. It's
Well,
it's a
that's the
technique.
exercise, is the double breath. Don't
Okay.
you? That's the exercise that we do in this meditation, is the double breathing.
Yeah. Another question. Sometimes it feels like the chi is jumping out of my body, so I have to swallow it back.
And
Is that
my
okay?
dear, swallow it back. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't let it get, sustain it, focus it.
Yes.
That's what'll build your strength.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, then there'll be meditation on Sunday. God bless you all. Thank you for being here and being part of my life. And I post these things on my website. I hope you go see them, about Tantra and about Kundalini and all that. And there's going to be another one posted tomorrow. Every Friday it's posted. So I hope you all can see it. One tomorrow is a little bit funny, how I found out about it. And but bless you all. Thank you for being here, and I hope you're growing the way I'm growing. This has been a great miracle doing this with you all. God bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you so much, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. God bless you.